welcome to another episode of Potside Chats, where we talk about all things China. My name's Nathan.
My name is Steph, and his name is Eric.
Hey.
And thank you for coming back on the show.
Yes.
I'm very happy to be here.
A little bit of a heavy topic today. We're talking about investigation and research. It kind of sounds like a Sherlock Holmes pitch, doesn't it?
Problem is I don't have a clue.
We need some good script writing.
We do. We'll move over Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay, well, our first question in the investigation. Why are we talking about this today?
Because it has been in the news.
That's a good reason.
For good reasons. It's part of a nationwide educational push.
I think a lot of people, again, also don't realize that it's such a cornerstone of the way that China's run.
Yes, and because it is, let's start at the beginning. So Mao Zedong, the founding father of the People's Republic of China, he really emphasized the importance of investigation and research when it comes to informing policy-making decisions, which is why you've got the famous line, no investigation, no right to speak.
一个领导人他做决策，在不了解情况的话，那肯定是脱离实际。只有是做详细的调查，了解了具体的情况，做出了这个决策，他才会有针对性和准确性。
And Mao actually wrote a series of very important reports before he was ever chairman, one of the most famous being the report on Xunwu. So I actually went to Xunwu to learn a little more.
Right, well, let's play the clip.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a quote from Mao Zedong before he was chairman in the 1930s, and he says, research is like being pregnant for 10 months. Solving problems is like giving birth in a day. So research is about solving problems. Xunwu is the birthplace of Mao's famous line, 没有调查，没有发言权. So this means if you don't do your research, you don't get a say in the matter.
毛泽东同志做寻物调查呢，他有3种方法。第一呢，就是开调查会。他开调查会呢，都开了10多天，因为有专题调查、综合调查和总结调查。特别是最后一个总结调查呢，主席是找了50多个人，其中还有流氓。为什么呢？他就是要把他之前没有弄清楚的问题啊，再一一的清理出来，再一次的来请教大家。一直找到正确的答案为止。因此，毛泽东同志呢又告诉大家，开调查会是最简单易行又最忠实可靠的方法。他说：“我用这个方法得到了很大的益处，这是比较什么大学还要高明的学校。”
And I just want to say that this image of Mao Zedong wiping the sweat from himself is the most relatable thing I've ever seen because it is so hot and humid in this town. 他和我很热。
确实是因为当时毛泽东同志呢，他就是在5月2号进了寻物县城，6月5号离开的寻物，所以说我们现在的时间正与当年的时间是相同的，因此你也和他一样感到是非常的热。
所以呢，这种调查研究的方式，在当年呢，像毛泽东，还包括其他人，都是比较提倡，而且他们自己呢是带头做这种调查，这种工作方法和习惯，从革命年代一直延伸到了中华人民共和国建立以后，是我们党的一种优良的作风和一种传统。
Okay, so very informative interview. It sounds like you learned a lot.
I really did, and I was so interested and fascinated at how granular he was in these reports. There's an anecdote where he was talking with his team. He's like, guys, did you investigate this village? And they're like, totally. He's like, okay, tell me what their main business is. And they're like, tofu probably? He's like, yeah, I agree with that. Can you tell me which 5 families make the best tofu in the village? And they're like, no. Okay. And so he sent them away to do actual thorough research.
So you're working on that micro level and building up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're probably going to ask me, viewers, what was the next development? Well, that's where we look at Deng Xiaoping theory. Okay, this came at a pivotal time in China's transformative era. So you take something like investigation and research, and you put more emphasis on the experimentation with policy making. So Deng Xiaoping, he wanted 2 things. You could say that he wanted market-oriented reform, and also he wanted to maintain stability. So that's where you've got the establishment of these special economic zones, like Shenzhen is a great example. and this attracted foreign investment. This helped boost the economic growth, and these zones became like laboratories for new economic policies, which helped China open up to the world.
Yeah, you can look at it as this kind of maturation of this approach that is still being expounded upon today to a great extent. You take a place, you run an experiment there. If it's successful, you tweak it, and then you adopt it on a greater scale and in more places. And at that time, it led to this saying, crossing the river by feeling the stones. And what it really was kind of a recalibration between practical results and ideology.
Yeah, so there you can see it working on 3 levels, right? You know, it's working on a local level, it's promoting self-reliance, and it's also boosting the economy in the, right direction.
And that brings us into the present day with Xi Jinping thought and China having reached now its first centenary goal, moving on to the second centenary goal. You can understand that given the track record with this philosophy, they want to carry that on into the future.
Yeah, you understand the logic behind it, don't you? Because, the party wants everybody singing off the same hymn sheet. So if everybody understands the philosophy and the framework in which they're working in, then everybody's more unified, right, in working towards that mission of building up the country.
So, with the first centenary goal, poverty alleviation was the cornerstone. With the second centenary goal now, the cornerstone is common prosperity. So I spent 18 years traveling all around China to the remote communities, often covering this poverty alleviation, which again is unprecedented in human history. And what both of these have required, again, is this investigation and research, but also everybody getting on board with the same idea as to how this is going to work and a determination to make it actually happen.
Now, in all your years of covering this, what have you seen in terms of research and investigation playing out that maybe we don't hear as much about in the news or wherever?
How the targeted poverty alleviation strategy took these last people who were still stuck in poverty, even though there had been 40 years, of poverty alleviation from the reform and opening up, because maybe they lived in a tough terrain, they lived with a chronic disease or a disability or were elderly, the so-called intractably poor. And so this pinpoint data was gathered on the regional, the village, the family, the individual level, and without that, China's poverty alleviation would have stalled out right before the finish line.
And when you talk about that, you can really see the strengths of that type of governance. And then if you think about other countries like maybe like the UK or United States, they have different systems in place, and with that, different strengths and also different challenges. But it's very interesting to learn about while we're here.
I can see the value in getting officials at any level out from their office into the trenches, as it were, to see what their constituents really need. So what's going to work for a small village in Ningxia may not work in a small village in Hubei, for example. Right. There's certainly been, I would say, some valid criticism even of like US senators are a little disconnected from the people they're supposed to represent because they don't get out there enough. So the appeal of that policy or that philosophy, I can understand.
Well, I think we covered it, gang. Thank you for joining us, Eric.
I'm very happy to come back.
And we did it. I don't know if you noticed at home, we did it with our brand new branded Potside Chat mugs. We've made it. We've hit the big time.
The big time here.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching.